everyone. This is Gerard, aka BT, with FXLiveDayTrading.com. So we have the room members here, and since we're conducting this trading session, I thought I'll stream some of it live here on YouTube. Okay, so the president is just now coming online here. He's going to start talking. It's 11:52 a.m. 1/15/2020, and I took a small dollar-yen short up here, and basically took profit on the long, and then I just turned it around and went short. Watching and waiting here on the SPX, which is on the right, and I'm using MT4. Even though I don't really trade much out of MT4, I know a lot of everybody out there supposedly uses MT4, especially when Forex trading, so I figured I'd pop this up, but I may be switching back and forth to trading platforms. Alright, so anyway, in the background, I am streaming.
Thank you very much, please.
Let's see if we can get this up here.
We greatly appreciate your joining us at this White House event. This is a very important and remarkable occasion. Today we take a momentous step, one that has never been taken before with China, toward a future of fair
I'm thinking
and
we make it a
reciprocal trade
self-news
as
scenario
we sign
here.
phase one of the historic trade deal between the United States and China. Together we are righting the wrongs of the past and delivering a future of economic justice and security for American workers, farmers, and families. I want to thank President Xi, who is watching as we speak, and I'll be going over to
dotted line is
China in the
short
not too
that
distant
I
future
took it at
to
109.96.
reciprocate. But I want to thank President Xi, a very, very good friend of mine. We're representing different countries. He's representing China. I'm representing the U.S., but we've developed an incredible relationship. But I want to thank him for his cooperation and partnership throughout this very complex process. Our negotiations were tough, honest, open, and respectful, leading us to this really incredible breakthrough. Most people thought this could never happen. Should have happened 25 years ago, by the way, but that's okay. A man who also has become a good friend of mine and somebody who's very, very talented and very capable. We're delighted to be joined by Vice Premier Liu He and Ambassador Shui and many other representatives from the People's Republic of China. We are especially proud of the efforts of Vice President Mike Pence, who is with us. And Mike, I'd like to have you say a few words, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And here we have the U.S. dollar coming off a little bit.
With
Not
Vice
sure if
Premier
this is
Liu
going to
He,
be, temporary
with our
little
Treasury
spike down or
Secretary,
something real.
with Ambassador Lighthizer, with so many distinguished guests, members of Congress, governors from around the country. This is a good day for America, China, and the world, and it's an honor to be with you. Mr. President, we gather here today thanks to your leadership at a time that the American economy is booming. With the strong support of members of Congress who are gathered here, we are now experiencing an economy that's created more than 7 million jobs. Unemployment rate is at a 50-year low. The average American's household income has risen by more than $5,000. That's all a result of your commitment to cut taxes, roll back regulation, unleash American energy. But it also reflects your commitment to free, fair, and reciprocal trade. Early in this administration, you made it clear that the era of economic surrender was over.
I think we had a lot of traders long the dollar yen
and American workers.
Get a little overzealous thinking that it's just going to continue because, let's face it, 110
and thanks to your leadership,
is a pretty important
today,
barrier.
The change begins.
We did get above that, and I think there's a lot of people out there that said, oh, if we get above 110, I'm going to go long. Well, a lot of times stops get run.
Thanks to your efforts,
Exactly,
Mr. President,
Steve.
we announced today great
That's when he
progress
went
on
short.
protecting
He just
intellectual
posted
property,
there.
on preventing forced technology
100%.
transfer, and
Of course,
currency manipulation.
if you've done your research, your due diligence, and you know
much
that it's
to
a good
you,
trade,
the
and you
greatest
feel
impact may well be on
that this
American
particular setup
agriculture.
is good,
Some $40 to $50 billion
wrong.
in purchases secured
Go
in this
long.
deal that'll result in greater prosperity for farmers all
or
across
go short, depending on the
land.
trade setup. My point
Mr.
is, when you
President,
have that
your
stop run,
commitment
that's
to a
the time
growing
you
and
want to get in.
prosperous America has been the centerpiece of your leadership.
Looking good over
And
here.
today, with the signing of Phase 1,
109.93.
it's one more example of your commitment to put American jobs and American workers first. And we recognize, as you do, Mr. President, the differences will remain between our two nations, but today is the start of a new chapter in trade relations between the two largest economies in the world. But I can assure the American people that this president will continue to stand firm and put America first, even as we forge a more productive relationship with China and with the world.
That
Mr. President, you know there's an
109.72
ancient
is a
Chinese
good
proverb that
support
says,
level
men
if you're
see
looking
only
just
the
for
present,
short-term trade.
but heaven sees the future. So let today be the beginning of a brighter future, more
Now
prosperous for the
remember,
American
no
people,
guarantee that we
the
follow through
Chinese
to the
people,
downside, but if for
and the
some
world.
reason we do,
Thank you, Mr. President.
I may add to it. Like I said, I have a small short here.
Thank you, Mike. An incredible job. Incredible guy. I also want to give special thanks to our U.S. trade representative who's been kept very busy. He's doing a lot of deals. We'll have another big one next week. It should get approved very shortly, and that'll be tremendous with Canada and Mexico. But we'll talk about that next week. But Robert Lighthizer, are we keeping you busy enough? Huh? Poor guy can't sleep. He tosses and turns. What happened to him?
I'm sorry.
Oh.
That was dropped. And
Oh, okay.
I'm all for
Thanks. Mike, that's right, you are all-purpose, come to think. But Bob Lighthizer is really an outstanding guy.
On the
Gets along
SPX
with people.
500,
He's smart,
we did
he's
reach
sharp,
that
and he
area of
understands trade
3,300.
better than anybody.
I feel
When
that that
first took
area
this, I said, I got to get the best guy.
may be a
And,
temporary
all
turning
signs
point,
pointed
at least
to
for the
Robert
rest of the
Lighthizer,
week.
so thank you very much,
That's
Bob.
my opinion. I don't know. But I'm prepared to look at both scenarios and trade accordingly. I am short the SPX 500 as well. Posted the details in the trading room there, the member trading room, for those of you who are interested.
I have one question. Was this an easier job or a tougher
I
job than
agree,
you
Fred.
thought?
It's set up nice, but it's still important to step in
I
small.
had a feeling you might say that. Also, our great Treasury Secretary, Stephen Mnuchin, has worked with Bob hand in hand, and thank you very much, Steve. Great job.
It's funny, someone has the chat name, Stephen Mnuchin.
So this really is a landmark
trading room
agreement,
here.
but along with them, we had the exceptional efforts of Jared Kushner. Where is Jared? Where is Jared? Our
He may
brilliant
just be the
Jared.
real Mnuchin in the
Great
trading room.
job,
You never
Jared.
know.
He worked hard. He left a beautiful, nice, very prosperous real estate business and came here, and I can tell you that was harder. This is harder than real estate in New York, isn't it, Jared? Huh? But you've done a fantastic job. You don't get people like that, so thank you very much. And Ivanka, nice to have you here. Thank you, honey. Also, somebody that I've heard for 35 years, the voice, it's just a great gentleman, a friend of mine, but a great gentleman. We brought him in, and he has been outstanding. The only problem is he doesn't like going on television very much. He's a little bit shy about that. Larry Kudlow. Where's Larry? Where is Larry? We had a day where the market went down $1 trillion. Think of that. In other words, it was one of those few days because we've had 141 days where we hit all-time highs. And we just broke, as you know, we just broke the 29,000 mark on the Dow just now as we're walking in. Market's up substantially today. With all these business leaders, I'm sure they
He's
don't
a
care.
pumper.
But Larry Kudlow went out into the beautiful lawns of the White House. Actually, he was standing in the middle of the Rose Garden. He had a beautiful scarf waving in the wind. He was everything perfect, right out of Greenwich, Connecticut. And he started talking. And by the time he finished, I said, you just made $1 trillion, $1 trillion. Because the market went up like 250 points. I said, Larry, what the hell did you say? and it didn't matter, but we were even. We went from being $1 trillion down to even, and that was pretty good. Larry, you've been fantastic. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Wow.
And by the way, I just see in the audience
So
our
that
great
just goes
ambassador
to
China,
show you
right,
that
Governor?
absolutely
So we had the governor of
they're going to come
Iowa,
out, they're going to talk up
and
the
he
market
loves
when
China.
need be.
And he's
I really
the
haven't seen an
longest-serving governor in
administration
the
that
history of our country,
proactive
like 24 years.
in talking up the
And I
market,
called him. I said,
which
Governor,
is interesting. I remember the
you have to do
days
me
of
a
the
favor, because I
2008
remember one conversation I had with him. I was going in to make a speech before the election.
financial
And he
crisis,
said,
and it
"Sir,
almost
please
seemed
don't
like
say anything
George
bad
Bush
about
and
China."
company really
It's the
wanted
first
that
time
market
anyone
to
ever
go
said
down.
that
It was
to me.
really interesting.
And I said, who is this guy? He's the governor of Iowa.
Probably when
He
it
just
was
said,
short.
don't say bad about China. So I had to rip up about half of my speech, right? And I said, why? He said, well, we do a lot of business. I've been dealing with China for 35 years with corn and all of the different things. And he told me a story that was amazing. He said, 35 years ago when I started, I met a man named Xi. He wasn't president then. He was a young man. And the governor came back, he told his wife, he said,
Emilio,
this is
good
35 years
job.
ago.
So
And it's
you
documented.
just took that long
He
off.
said,
Yeah, I hopped
just
in
met
again.
the future president of
Well,
China.
I had a swing long there too.
And nobody thought
but
much
that's a
about
good
it.
job.
And you know what?
98
28
pips
years later,
profit there.
You turned out to be
on
right.
the,
And you have been
dollar
an
versus the
incredible
yen. Good job.
ambassador. And
Just
they
took
like
that
each other
off.
so much. So when it came time to picking the important position of ambassador, I said, haven't you had enough after 24 years being governor of Iowa? He said, if you want me to do that, and you've been a great help. Thank you very much, Ambassador.
It's
I
really
appreciate
not
it.
much of a move
What a
here.
great
Now,
job.
one would expect that
Nobody could have done that
this
job
is
better.
not news,
Amen. I think
Those
I
who
can go
would
on the opposite
long,
side of the
I
spectrum,
believe, are
perhaps,
rolling
from
out of
the
their
governor.
positions now.
His
That's why I
attitude's a little
thought maybe
different.
we'd see
Our
a
trade advisor,
market
Peter
correction
Navarro,
here.
right, Peter?
So we will.
He's a little different.
We will see.
We have all types. We have all types. A Deputy Chief of Staff, Chris Liddell, has been with us for a long time, and he's done a fantastic job and had a great business career. Commerce Secretary, a legend on Wall Street, Wilbur Ross. Where's Wilbur? Wilbur, thank you. A man who knows agriculture as well as anybody in the world. We were looking for an agricultural person. And we wanted to go political, and we were looking for somebody that would fit perfectly. And Sonny came in, and it was over. I learned more in that half hour about agriculture than Joni, right? Than I could ever have learned, possibly. Sonny Perdue has been incredible, and we're taking care of our farmers, that I can tell you. So, Sonny, thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. Thank you, Sonny. And a woman, transportation's going
I know
very
what you
well.
mean, Eddie.
She's
You
done
know, a
an
lot of
incredible
newbie
job.
traders
We're
come
getting
in and they
approvals
think
down now
news
from
is out.
20 years,
This is going to
21
go up.
years to 2
Okay,
years. And it may
China
get
signed the
rejected for
deal. I'm
environmental or
going
other
long.
reasons. But we have it
It's just not the way the
limited down to
market
about
works.
2
In
years.
fact, a lot of times
A
it's the
highway which would have
opposite.
taken
That hope
19
by the
to
rumor
20
sell
years
the
to get
news is in
approval.
fact
We have
something
it
that
down to
is
2, and we want to get it down to
it
1.
happens
And if
every
it
day in
doesn't
the
work, we're
markets.
going to say
It's
you don't build
just,
it.
a
You're
lot
not
of
gonna wait
newbies don't
22
get that. A
years
lot
to
of new
find out you
people,
can't
maybe
build
they'll
the
hear
highway.
about it, but they maybe
And,
can't understand it.
She has been
But when you
fantastic.
trade that and
Secretary
you lose
of
money, you get it,
Elaine
and you get
Chao.
it quick.
Thank you, Elaine.
Or you just stand beside it for you, really sure. And
So we
there's no
have
guarantee, too.
Tremendous numbers
You know,
of people
we're
here.
going to have to
and
wait
I'm
and see
saying,
some of
do
the
I
details that are
introduce
coming
them?
out
I
today
think
in
I
this
sort of should,
announcement
'cause
here.
this is a big celebration.
There's no
And by
guarantee
the way, some of
whatsoever
the congressmen
that
may
you
have
know,
a vote.
the market's
and I
gonna
don't, it's on
sell.
the
I mean,
impeachment
there's no,
hoax.
just no
So
guarantees
if
in
you
the
want to
market
go out and
whatsoever.
vote,
You just
I'd
don't
rather
know.
have, frankly, it's not going to matter because it's going very well. But I'd rather have you voting than sitting here listening to me introduce you, okay? They have a hoax going on over there. Let's take care of it. So any of you guys want to leave, we will not be. Where's Kevin McCarthy, the great Kevin McCarthy? Okay, good. I'm glad. Can I be honest? I'm glad. I like it much better that way. And by the House, folks, 195 to nothing. And we got 3 Democrats, and one of them actually left the Democratic Party, came over Republican. And what a job you've done. So I just want to thank you all. Really tough. I love that. So we have some incredible people in the audience, and I'd just like to introduce a few. A very good friend of mine, 2 very good friends of mine. Sheldon Adelson, Miriam Adelson, thank you very much both for coming. They've been tremendous supporters of us and the Republican Party. And they're great people. A man who always liked me because he's smart, so smart. The great Lou Dobbs, you know, at first he said, he's the best since Reagan. Then he got to know me more and more, and he said, he's even better than Reagan. Then a few weeks ago, somebody told me, and I watch all the time, but somebody's got a very important show, actually, tremendous audience, and everybody in this room watches. But Lou Dobbs, he said, he's the greatest of them all. I said, does that include Washington and Lincoln? And he said, yes. Now, I don't know if he was for real, but that's okay. But he is, the great Lou Dobbs.
All right,
Thank
so
you very
really,
much.
just not much going on here.
Great show, Lou. And a man who everybody knows, he knows more than
12:07
probably
p.m.
everybody in
I'm
this room
almost
put
thinking,
together. He's seen it all.
you know, take
And
a break
he made
here.
a statement to Jared. Jared came in and said, you know, Henry Kissinger told me, how did the president ever pull this off? I said, can I quote Henry on that? Because Henry is outstanding. And when Henry's impressed with something, then I'm impressed. And Henry, we're impressed with you. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Henry. Thank you. And Michael Pillsbury, thank you very much. And Susan Pillsbury, thank you very much. And
Just
you've
wanna
been
go over
saying
this.
some fantastic things about
See
China
that?
and about
That's
us.
the trend line. That goes way
We have a
back.
good
That's on the
partnership.
weekly chart.
This is
Just
gonna be
respect
something
that
that's
trend
gonna be
line.
very
See it.
special. We're gonna talk
Now,
about it in
okay,
a
it didn't
second.
trust.
A friend
it
of mine,
didn't
Steve
touch here,
Schwarzman,
but
is
still.
here. Steve, I know you have no interest in this deal at all. I'm surprised you're not actually sitting over here on
Now,
the ledge
it
of the
also
stage as
depends
opposed
how
to-
you draw it. I
But
mean,
Steve's done a great
some
job
people
and
may
very
do
good
something like
relationship with
this,
China and very
and
good
then, you know, lift
relationship
this
with us.
side up too.
Nelson Peltz is here, a friend of mine. Where's Nelson? Nelson's around here someplace. Hi, Nelson. What are you doing sitting all the way back there, Nelson? How's General Electric doing, Nelson? He'll straighten it out. He'll straighten it out. He came in nice and late. He didn't get in too early, that's for sure. Hank Greenberg is here. Hank, if they took care of Hank, they wouldn't have had the problems that they had. Where's Hank?
The bottom line is, we have a trend line around
Hank.
here. See, some people stick precisely
stayed
to
there
certain
like he should
levels
have.
and
He
certain
wouldn't have had the problem
specific
that they ended up
areas, not
having with,
realizing that most of the times trend
economy,
lines are
but,
broken.
it's
There's a
great to have you,
stop
Hank. Thank you
run.
very much. We have some tremendous,
However, you always have to have that on your
senators
chart.
here and some
I always
really,
put the trend lines on my
incredible
chart.
people, and I wanna just
Here's a
say
trend line
once
right
again, If
here.
I miss your name, stand up and I will promise
Okay.
to say it, because a lot of people wanted to be
Well,
here.
we had this. This was
A
perfect
senator
yesterday. You
who's
could see we
been
bounced through it. It's
new
no
to the
longer
game,
really
and he took
relevant
it
now.
up so quickly
This
and
is
so
yesterday's
easily,
trend
and
line.
he ran a
So I'm
race that was
constantly drawing
undoable.
trend lines here on
The person
charts.
he ran against was unbeatable.
It's
Nice
important.
woman, Heidi,
They're
but unbeatable.
watched.
And-
They're valid.
and
It seems so
Kevin Kramer
simple,
said,
but
"I can
it's-
beat him." And
it's
I
a
think
real
he
way to
won by
trade.
about 12 points, right? And they said he's the only man in North Dakota that can win. And I said, we'll do it. And I had him in my office 3 times. I said, Kevin, you got to do it. And I said, he's doing it. And he turned me down. Then he came back again. Well, this time I know he's doing it. He calls me back. He said, sir, I'm not going to do it. He said, you know, in all fairness, I'll call you back. But I never give up, do I? So now instead of being a congressman, he's a senator. And you've been great. And thank you very much. Kevin Kramer. Mike Crapo, a friend of mine. These are all warriors. These are incredible. Mike, thank you very much, Mike. What a job you do. Mike is one of those guys who goes unsung, but behind the scenes is nobody sharper, smarter. We all respect you and love you, every one of these people. Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right, now let's just
Steve
talk about the
Dane,
moving
same
averages
thing
here.
I can
We
say
are
for my
above
Steve, and he's got a hell of a
some of these
football
key
team.
moving
Haven't they do
averages
this
on the
year
1
already?
hour.
They gonna
So
be back?
I'm just reluctant to
They won it again?
take anything big on this
They have a
trade.
good
So I just
team.
have a small
They
short.
have a
That's
good
where the
team.
dotted green line is.
Joni Ernst. They got ethanol, so you can't complain, right?
I agree, Joe.
Steve,
Definitely
that's good.
less volatility than I
You
thought.
know, Joni would call
Um,
me along with Chuck Grassley.
You just
They
never
call
know
us
with
a
these type
tandem.
of
You can't
announcements.
beat
I
the
mean,
two of
a
them.
lot of
All
this
they want to know about
is already
ethanol.
baked in, as they say. You know, it's baked into
But
the
we got
market.
it done. Deb Fisher, same boat, right, Deb? You want that ethanol for Nebraska? And a friend of mine, Lindsey Graham, he's become a great friend of mine, and he's a outstanding man. He loves our country. He really does love our country. He works like hell. Do you do anything other than politics? He likes golf too. He likes golf too. much better golfer than people would understand. He likes golf, but he's a great guy. You get it done. He brings people together. Chuck Grassley, where's Chuck? Where's Chuck? Chuck, will you stand up for a second? This guy's the toughest guy. He can say something in a nice manner and everybody's afraid, right? He made Comey choke during a hearing. He said, "Did you leak anything to the press?" What? Comey choked like a